Tony, Corey Reed with Wrestling Observer. I want to ask you a two-part question. We have the big show in London coming up, All In, which is a very, very big deal. But the next weekend usually is Labor Day. For All Out in Chicago. Now, will that show still be on in Chicago? And then the second question is, you did mention that it will be All In will be broadcast. Is that going to be on Future Report, or is that going to be on a WB channel, or will it be pay-per-view to the All In?
You've asked two great questions, Corey, but because of the nature of announcements and timing, they're things I can't really address yet, but they're things we definitely will address. It's just a timing thing, and in dealing with our network partners, I think I definitely want to respect their plans as far as timing and rolling out those announcements. But we'll definitely be talking more about what's coming the weekend after All In, and what's coming as far as how we're going to disseminate All In, how it'll be available to watch coming up August 27th, live from London. And it will be available live for everyone here to watch, and we'll get all that information out soon. Obviously, a lot of exciting things coming up. We wanted to get through tonight with Double or Nothing and all the exciting things on tonight's show, and then we have so much coming up next month in June with the launch of AEW Collision, and of course Forbidden Door in partnership with New Japan Pro Wrestling. So we have a lot of big events coming up, and certainly also up in June, the launch of AEW Fight Forever. So it's one of the most important months ever in AEW this month that's starting just days ahead, and I think we'll have a lot more to come about the two things you asked about, which are both great questions. In time, we'll be able to answer about what's coming after All In, and also how people are going to be able to watch All In on August 27th. If you got another question, I feel bad I didn't get your question answered.
Those were the two questions that I had, and I expected no answer to those.
Consistent. Thank you, Cora. I appreciate it. And who's next?
Over here. Tony?
Tony.
Oh, hey, Dave.
Hey, how are you?
Great.
Two questions also. First one is basically a business question as far as the TV goes and everything. Is Collision, how long of a deal do you have for Collision? Is it concurrent with the deal that you already have, or is it of a different length? And also, just for tonight, is there anything as far as crowd reactions? You know, did you feel something in different parts of the show as far as crowd reaction that made you think, hey, this was really interesting, the crowd did this, or something like that, as far as like, all through the show, there's a lot of unique crowd reactions.
I definitely think so. Well, going through it, first of all, I'm not really supposed to get into all the specific details of the partnership with Warner Brothers Discovery, but I would say that the time that's left on the previous deal, the current deal, is the same duration as what we were doing before, and it's a new deal. It's a different scope than what we previously had with Warner Brothers Discovery, which is exciting for us. So it created a new opportunity for us to do another 2 hours of Saturday night live wrestling, and it's really going to change the company. But the length of the deal is the same as what we started with when we signed the extension in early 2020, right before the lockdown. As far as crowd reactions going through the night, I thought it was a great show. I really loved the opener. I thought the Battle Royal was very positively received. It was a great match with a lot of suspense, and I think I've seen some people saying it was one of the best Battle Royals ever, which I think is really great feedback, and very proud of everyone involved in that match, putting it together, and it was a great win for the champion, Orange Cassidy, who's had a lot of great matches, and I thought the crowd reacted very positively to him, but also to a lot of people in that match. There were a lot of moments in the match where I think it was very telling how the crowd reacted, but it was a very positively received match. After that, with Adam Cole and Chris Jericho, I think it was a brutal match. It was very intense. At the end, I think people want to see Adam Cole get more. Even though he beat the hell out of Jericho, I think, there's still an appetite for him to get a decisive moment. And then you have Jericho, who's still very upset, threw a fireball backstage and wants another match with Adam Cole in a mixed tag that we are going to have on Wednesday on Dynamite. I think There was a huge reaction to Statlander coming back and winning the championship. I thought that was really what we wanted to see. I was not that surprised, and it was a great question earlier because it was last year, almost exactly 1 year ago here in Las Vegas, where we saw that massive reaction for Statlander right before she got injured, and it really derailed and changed plans. I thought it was great to see her come back and get such a positive reaction. Huge reaction for the last several matches. With the Pillars match, I thought the crowd was really into that, and really good reception for all four of those guys like I wanted to see. Definitely for the final match, I thought the place was on fire for the final match of the night, so I thought Anarchy in the Arena was a big success. And overall, I really was happy to see a big reaction for the Takeshita reveal. I think that was really positive to hear. The crowd, went crazy and really bid on that. So that was pretty great. So overall, I thought it was strong for some of those big moments. And then as far as the deal going into Collision, I think it puts us in a really interesting place going into next month. Like I was just saying, I think it's one of the most important months business-wise in the history of the company, with the launch of Collision, the launch of AEW Fight Forever, and the Forbidden Door partnership coming up. So it's going to be a huge month, and definitely a lot of our big stars, I thought, really shined tonight. Thanks.
Maxine Selby with Sports Biz. Vegas is where it all began for this pay-per-view. How special has this weekend been for you and AEW?
What a great question. Thank you very much. Thanks for coming, and I appreciate you being here, and I hope I haven't kept you up too late. And I know you've sat through some great interviews and some nasty people to get to ask that question, so thank you. I appreciate it very much. I really am very happy to be back here. It's amazing. Like you said, it was 4 years ago right here in Las Vegas where we really launched AEW. We did our very first ever show, and a lot of you who were here were at that same show. And I thought we had another great show tonight. I thought both shows had some really great highs. They both started out with a great hot match, and then there were some really great matches to close the show and great reactions to close the show. So I thought they were very similar in that respect. So I was very happy that we started hot, closed hot, and had a few classic matches on the back end of the show, just like we did on the very first Double or Nothing. As far as the moments being here back in Vegas, it was fun with a lot of the people who were on the crew to look back and say, like, here we are, it's been 4 years. It's amazing. This is the fifth Double or Nothing. It doesn't feel like it, possibly because for part of the time we were in Jacksonville for the lockdown, so we were doing the show for over a year in Jacksonville, and we actually did 2 Double or Nothing shows in Jacksonville in Daly's Place. I thought they were great shows, but then last year when we came back here, it meant so much. And to be doing our 5th Double or Nothing, and it's the first time we've done the 5th of any of our shows. It's like now the start of the 5th cycle of AEW effectively. It's pretty exciting. So it was a really special memory, and it also showed, kind of like what Bryan Danielson was saying, putting a different spin on it, how the company's changed and grown in a lot of ways, because a lot of the biggest names from the beginning of AEW were still here. In that Anarchy in the Arena match, you saw the best of the beginning of AEW with faces like the Young Bucks and Hangman and Kenny Omega, who've been here from the very first show. Jon Moxley came out at the end of that first show, but look how the company's changed since then. You've got a young star like Wheeler Yuta, like Brian said, who's started his career in AEW in that time and grown so far. And then we brought in 2 of the greatest free agents any wrestling company could ever bring in, with Claudio Castagnoli and Bryan Danielson. So that match alone exemplifies the growth. And then you look at the 4 Pillars match and see how far they've come in that time. I thought that was really cool. And the opening Battle Royal. We opened the first show 4 years ago with a Battle Royal. The Battle Royal tonight was much better. There was a lot of talent. They both featured 21 wrestlers. There was better talent and bigger names up and down the Battle Royal, and it was a better Battle Royal tonight, and it was tighter. And the show had, similar to the first show, I think there was a lot of high highs, and not everything is going to be perfect in every match, but I thought overall it was a really positive show, like the first Double or Nothing. So that was kind of what I was hoping to live up to, and I think we did. So I was really happy, and it was cool being back here. Thank you for asking.
Very interesting.
Granite.
With the addition of Collision, which is a 2-hour show that you do every week, I have to think that adds probably tens of millions of dollars in annual expense. So is WBD giving you any extra money to offset that?
Yes, we're definitely being paid for Collision and being paid very well.
In addition to what you were already getting?
Yes, in addition to what the Dynamite and Rampage, we got a new contract. I think it's fair to say it's more money, but it's the same length of time. And I was very excited about it. It was a big opportunity for us. It's certainly a very expensive thing to produce a great 2-hour live TV show, and on the weekend doing it every week. It's not going to be cheap, but it's going to be great. I'm so excited about Collision. It's going to be a great show. It's going to be something really great for AEW. We have something really strong going with AEW Dynamite. We had a really strong TV rating this past week to get the .32. There's still some tough competition, and I think as the summer goes on, we have an opportunity to get back to where we were last summer. Last summer we were consistently a #1 show on cable, #1 or 2 every week. Was it like 17 weeks in a row? I think we were #1 or 2 through the summer last year. So I think we have a chance to have another really hot run through this summer with Dynamite, but then start something really new with Collision. It's a great question. It was a great opportunity for the company to get more revenue, to do more TV, and also grow another brand in addition to what we do with Dynamite and Rampage and now Collision, and have 5 hours of television. So it will be some added production costs, and now we're not producing Dark and Elevation, so there is some cost savings there. But overall, yeah, there will be increased costs, but also it'll definitely increase revenue through not only the ticket sales on Saturdays and the merch sales and all those things, but also, yeah, through license fees that we're making because of an incremental change, increasing our compensation for Collision. Thanks.
Righteous Reg, Ground City Podcast.
Hey, Reg.
Great show tonight. You've been talking a lot about Collision. Everybody's been asking a bunch of questions. Elephant in the room. You guys are going to be in Chicago on June 17th. Is CM Punk going to be there?
I can't tell you that. I think it's a great question, and I am not prepared to address that question at this time, but I think it's a great question. Not unlike questions Corey asked, that very good question to ask, and I think that's something a lot of people want to know. And as we get closer to the launch of Saturday Night Collision on June 17th on TNT, I think more and more things will come into focus about that show. But tickets are on sale for the United Center right now, and we're off to a great start with the initial sale, and I think it's only going to get stronger and could be one of the biggest TV shows of the entire year in terms of revenue, I expect, and also could be one of the most important TV shows of the year for AEW.
Question that most of us want to ask, but how different was it booking United Center this time around than compared to the first time the last dance? And what are the plans this time around that changed?
Well, the first dance was the first time we booked United Center, and then we actually went back, as you remember, for Forbidden Door. So I'm really excited about being back there again for what I hope will be another historic show. Those are both really historic shows. I think the first dance was actually the second episode of Rampage, but I think to come back and have those first few weeks with that kind of great energy, the spirit we captured those first few weeks, it was amazing. I think Collision will be an exciting opportunity. There's some big differences with Rampage. Collision's going to be a 2-hour show. Collision is going to be live on Saturday nights, so it's also a weekend show, but it's in this 8 to 10 time slot. It's a really interesting opportunity for us, and I'm very excited about it. Also going to be focusing on doing the show live on a very typical basis. And we've got all these big live Collision events announced, and I think people want to know more about what to expect on Collision and what's going to be on the show, and I think it's good we're building that kind of anticipation and excitement. And I'll tell you, I'm excited. There are not a lot of people that know what to expect on Collision. I think it's going to be a great show, and it's going to be really good for the company. And to your point, I think it's different going back this time because it's a different precedent, a different kind of history we're starting. It's about a new show, building a new legacy for the company in a new era in many ways, and we're going to keep all the great things we're doing on Dynamite, and we've had some really great episodes in recent weeks. In this year, I think there's been some of the best episodes we've ever done this year. Just a couple shows we've done recently in the past, including in Detroit, and then following up on that, and also I think the show at the Forum this year earlier was excellent. Just had a lot of great shows, and I expect we can keep the high standard we've been doing on Wednesdays, and hopefully even feed and do stronger shows also on Fridays for Rampage as a result. But I know that also what we do at Collision, it's going to be really important, and I'm really excited, and it's crazy. It's only weeks away. It's going to be a big deal. And so it was different booking the United Center this time versus the previous times, but also it's a different thing, because the First Dance was an important event for us. Certainly the inaugural Forbidden Door is a very important event for us, and this launch of Collision is very important. So there's a lot of similarities, but they're all their own unique thing. Thanks, Phil.
Here. Tony over here.
Hey, Brian.
Hey, so Max was asked about his match not going on last, and he said, well, I don't want to roll around in Moxley's blood, and I think that the world title going on last is antiquated. So I wanted to ask your opinion. Why did you decide to do Anarchy last? Did you always plan on having that go on last? Did you have something like, I'll think about it day of the show or whatever? What was your mindset as to what went on last tonight?
Well, I always put a lot of thought into it, and I'll go back to the first Double or Nothing we did in Jacksonville, and really both the Double or Nothings we did in Jacksonville, and it was a very similar thought process. The weekend of the show, looking at everything we've built, everything we've put together, and it felt like, I'll go back to the original Stadium Stampede. It felt like Stadium Stampede should go on last, and I remember talking to Moxley and Brody, and certainly they had no issue with that, and they thought doing a double main event would be great, and it was. So John Moxley and Brody had a great main event, and then we went out and had a great double main event with the first ever Stadium Stampede. Then the next year at Double or Nothing, we went out and we had a three-way match with Kenny Omega, Pac, and Orange Cassidy. It was a great classic world title match, and then we followed it up with the second Stadium Stampede. So we've had these big, wild, crazy multi-man matches, and actually when you look at Double or Nothing historically, now this has almost become the norm, because 3 of the 5 Double or Nothing shows you've had with a double main event where you had the world title match, and it was first 2 wrestlers one-on-one with John Moxley, Brody Lee. That's a great match. And then you had the 3-way match the next year is the first part of the double main event with Orange Cassidy, Pac, and Kenny Omega. This year, the great 4-way match with MJF, Jungle Boy, Darby Allin, and Sammy Guevara. And in each case, you ended with an amazing multi-person brawl. The Stadium Stampede we did in Jacksonville, different in a lot of ways, really different from what we do with Anarchy in the Arena, but it felt like going back to that, it might be the right way to go, and I think it worked really well. And just like those Double or Nothing shows, ended hot with back-to-back great matches, I thought we did it again tonight and ended with those hot back-to-back matches. That's become kind of a theme with Double or Nothing.
Hey, Jack Farmer with Wrestling. We've talked a lot about new shows and the pay-per-view, obviously, but I'm curious about Fight Forever. And when it comes out, what does success look like to you for that game? Is it a sales number? Is it a critical review number? What does success look like for you for the video game coming out?
A number of different factors, and I think having really good sales, having it be positively received, and something that will reflect really well on the company. I think we've grown so much as a company that we're at a point where every step forward we can take, it's really great, but at the same time we built something that's so big that everything we can do to enhance it is good. But every success, it's rare that we have a success that's so transformative that it transforms the entire company, but this is one of those projects that could potentially really be transformative. I think we have a chance to make a lot of new fans. I think we have a chance to make a ton of money, and I think it has a chance to really help the business. So we have a couple of major projects coming up that have actually been years in the making in AEW Fight Forever and AEW All In. Now, they're completely different things. One is a video game, but it's taken years to get to that point. And then one is a live stadium show, but again, it's taken years to get to that point. And we know that AEW All In, at least from a revenue standpoint, is going to be an unprecedented success. And there's still a lot more, like what Corey asked about, as far as how people are going to be able to watch it here if they aren't going over live to the UK. But a lot of people are going to be live at the UK, and that's unprecedented, the number we've done. And I think for Fight Forever, it can really help grow the business. It can be another feather in our cap. And we do great things at AEW every year, and the business has grown and changed every year. But I think this is something really special, and it's certainly a really big opportunity in a number of ways with AEW Fight Forever. So I think how we'd measure the success, there's a number of different ways, but it can help us a lot of different areas in the company, I think.
Hi Tony, Stephanie Chase, I'm from Digital Spy. So of course I have to ask you a question about All In. So maybe I'll get lucky with this one, but so you did such huge sales when you started the first week. How have they been going since then? Are you happy with that? And also in the UK, it's turned into a bit of a destination week already. We've got Rev Pro running, Progress and running. So any chance you're going to add to that with the Ring of Honor or Collision taping, or is it important for you for All In to be the actual first UK show?
I am certain it's very important for us, for All In, to be AEW's first ever UK show, and that's where we'll start. And it's a monumental event for us in AEW, so I'm very, very excited for it. And yeah, there's a lot of excitement in the UK wrestling community, other events popping up around it, and I think that's great. You know, it's not that unusual for us, to be honest. I think our big pay-per-view events, we've started to see that. I know there were other wrestling events here in Las Vegas featuring some great wrestlers this weekend, and there'll be events, I'm sure, in Toronto, and there's always events typically around Chicago All Out. So I'm not, I'm not surprised that there's a lot of excitement in the UK about it, but I think it's a big thing. And then for ticket sales, I haven't released a new figure yet, but it's this will be the first time I've said it. I think we're roughly 65,000. It's very exciting, and we're well over the 8 million mark. And I think with the exchange rate, sometimes that changes with pounds. So when I say that, I mean $8 million going on a $9 million gate that we're closing in on. And it's very, very exciting for the company. It's a huge milestone. It's by far the biggest gate in the history of AEW, and it's one of the biggest gates in the history of professional wrestling. It's, I believe, the largest gate ever in England for pro wrestling, and soon we will close in and have the biggest gate ever in the UK, period, for professional wrestling, because if the record was set in Wales. So, and... Wales is 8.1. Did you get that? 8.1? Oh, okay, so we set the record. We did it. So 8.1 million pounds or dollars? Dollars. Oh, yeah, then we set the record. Okay, so we've set the record. Biggest ever in the UK. Thank you. Thank you, Dave. I didn't expect that. Thanks, Dave.
8.1 million was Wales.
Great. Okay, well, we've set the biggest record for UK ticket sales ever for a pro wrestling event, and we're well over 8.1.
Also, biggest non-WrestleMania in history of wrestling.
That is very cool. That is very cool. Thank you. So it is one of the biggest events in the history of wrestling now, and I think it, as far as first week sales, it's up there, and we still have a lot of time left. Haven't announced anything on the card yet, so I think the sky's the limit, and it's very, very big for the company. But in terms of the business, it's been certainly unprecedented, not just for AEW's business, but honestly in the wrestling business, for anybody to do this. Thank you.
Tony, so I was curious, we were talking about the sales and the numbers and this and that.